before your first breath, before your name was spoken, before memory, before identity, before the world wrapped itself around your senses. There was God, not a distant God, not an external God, not a God made of doctrine, separations, or unreachable holiness, but the God who imagined you, the God who breathed himself into your consciousness, the God who placed you inside a divine story written from the beginning of time. You were not placed in a random universe. You did not emerge from chaos. You did not arrive without intention. You are living in a play written by God. And you are not simply watching it unfold. You are writing it with him through the imagination. He gave you the feelings he empowered you with, the faith he planted deep within your spirit. This life is not happening to you. This life is happening through you, because consciousness is the stage, imagination is the script, and faith is the force that shapes every scene. Everything you have lived, everything you will live, exists within a divine structure, a spiritual architecture designed to awaken you to the truth Naville Goddard repeated with unwavering certainty. Your imagination is God, not in metaphor, not as a poetic device, but in literal, spiritual reality. For God created the world through imagination, and he placed that same creative power within you. So the moment you imagine, you are participating in creation. The moment you feel the end, you are shifting the script. The moment you assume the state, you are altering the next scene. You are not trapped in fate. You are moving through a living, responsive universe that reflects the consciousness you occupy. This is the great mystery hidden in every sacred text, echoed in Scripture when Paul wrote, "In him we live and move and have our being." You are living in God, not beside him, not beneath him, not distant from him. You are moving inside a field of divine intelligence that responds to your innermost belief with perfect fidelity. This is the play, but the play is not rigid. It is not immutable. It is not fixed. It is dynamic. It is fluid. It is shaped by your inner world, your assumptions, your imagination, your faith. For the God who created you did not design you to be a spectator. He designed you to be a co-creator. And so, scene by scene, moment by moment, feeling by feeling, you sculpt the landscape of your life. Some people fear this truth, but the awakened soul is liberated by it. Because if you created the unwanted scenes through unconscious belief, you can create new ones through conscious assumption. If you live by default, you can now live by design. If you live by fear, you can now live by faith. If you lived as a character shaped by circumstance, you can now live as the author of your own world. This is the meaning behind the words of Christ when he said, "According to your faith, be it unto you." Faith is the pen. Imagination is the ink. Feeling is the parchment upon which reality is written. And God, the great playwright, has given you the authority to shape the role you play within his vast, infinite creation. Now breathe deeply. Let the truth begin to rise within you with the calmness of dawn. You are not lost. You are not powerless. You are not victim to chance. You are an awakened participant in the divine story authored by God and shaped by your consciousness. Every scene of your life is meaningful. Every challenge is purposeful. Every desire is deliberate. Desire is the signal of the next chapter, calling you forward. Desire is the whisper of God saying, "This is who you are becoming." For God does not give desires without fulfillment. He plants them as seeds of identity. This is why Naville said, "Dare to believe in the reality of your assumption." Because when you assume, you are stepping into the script God placed within your soul. When you feel the wish fulfilled, you are entering the next act. When you declare the end is done, you are aligning with the intelligence that wrote the story in the first place. This is not imagination as entertainment. This is imagination as divine participation. Now let your awareness travel inward, past the story the world told you, past the limitations you were taught to accept, past the fear you learned to carry. Enter the deeper layer where God writes the laws of creation on the tablet of the heart. There, you will feel the truth. Life is a mirror of your inner state, not punishment, not reward, reflection. Your consciousness is the lens through which the divine play reveals itself. If you live in the state of lack, the play introduces characters of scarcity. If you live in the state of abundance, the play introduces characters of blessing. If you live in the state of fear, the play introduces shadows. If you live in the state of faith, the play introduces miracles. Because you are always writing, always creating, always expressing God's intelligence through your perceptions. And now you are being called to write intentionally, not from repetition, but from revelation, not from habit, but from identity, not from fear, but from the deep knowing that you are the consciousness through which God shapes your world. You are the imagination through which He writes new scenes. You are the vessel through which the play continues to unfold. This truth, once understood, awakens you permanently, and the awakening has already begun. And now, as you settle deeper into the awareness that life is a divine play authored by God, something extraordinary begins to unfold within you. The realization that you are both the character and the creator, the one moving through the scene, and the one shaping the scene. This dual identity is not a contradiction. It is the essence of spiritual awakening. For the human self acts within the play, but the divine self, your true self, imagines the play into existence. When Naville said, "Man is all imagination and God is man," he was revealing the mystery that Scripture encodes. God clothed Himself in you so that through you He could experience creation from within. Your senses show you the effects, but your imagination holds the cause. Your eyes show you the scenery, but your feelings write the next act. Your world seems external, but it is the projection of an internal script, spoken in the quiet language of assumption. And so the question is not, is life happening to me? The question is, what am I assuming as true within myself? That life is faithfully reflecting. This realization does not condemn. It liberates. Because if life mirrors your inner state, then the moment you change your state, the entire play must adjust. This is the law, not a suggestion, not an occasional occurrence. A law as fixed as gravity, yet far more personal, for it responds to your deepest feeling. Life bends itself to the shape of your inner belief. You have felt this before, in moments when something you feared seemed to accelerate toward you, or moments when a desire held with quiet certainty materialized with impossible timing. Not luck, not coincidence, alignment. For the play rearranges itself according to the consciousness of the one experiencing it. This is why Jesus said, "According to your faith, be it unto you." He was not speaking metaphorically. He was revealing the architecture of reality. Faith is the blueprint. Assumption is the script. Feeling is the performance. Manifestation is the scene revealed. Now let the next layer of truth unfold gently within you. Your role in this divine play is not to react, but to create. Reaction is the behavior of one who believes themselves surrounded by forces beyond their control. Creation is the posture of one who knows the power within. You were not brought into this life to be a passive observer. You were brought here to awaken to the God within you and shape your world with the same intelligence that spoke the universe into existence. This is why imagination feels so natural, why desire is so persistent, why feeling carries such weight, why faith transforms everything it touches. You are participating in the creative activity of God. Every time you assume something as true, whether consciously or unconsciously, you are always writing the next scene. And so, many live the same stories again and again, not because they are cursed, but because their inner script has never changed. Their assumptions have hardened into identity. Their identity has hardened into expectation. Their expectation has hardened into life experience. But the moment you awaken, the moment you question the old script, the moment you release the belief that no longer serves your becoming, the entire play begins to shift. Not gradually, immediately. The physical world may take time to reflect it, but the spiritual shift occurs in an instant. This is why Naville said, "Dwell in the end." Not hope for the end, not beg for the end, not wait for the end. Inhabit the end. Feel the end as real now, and the play must adjust itself to honor your inner transformation, because the play responds to consciousness, not circumstance. Now breathe deeply again, and as you do, feel the boundary between you and God growing thinner, less defined, less separate. For separation was always an illusion. There is no you over here. and God over there. There is only consciousness expressing through form, God experiencing himself through the lens of your awareness. You are the vessel through which God imagines. You are the doorway through which God actualizes. You are the consciousness through which God creates. This is why your desires matter. They are not random preferences. They are the next notes in God's unfolding symphony, playing through your being. And when you deny your desires, you deny the next chapter God is writing in you. But when you embrace them with faith, you become the co-author of your destiny. Now let the next truth rise. Every event in your life, every success, every heartbreak, every delay, every breakthrough is a scene designed to awaken you, not to punish you, not to derail you, but to reveal who you are beneath the layers of fear, beneath the weight of limitation, beneath the opinions of the world. God allows you to experience certain scenes so that you may remember you are not the character trapped within the moment. You are the consciousness directing it. When the character suffers, the actor awakens. When the scene tightens, the script changes. When the moment feels impossible, awakening becomes inevitable. These difficult scenes were never the destination. They were the catalyst, the invitation, the turning point in the narrative, where the hero discovers the power within. And you are that hero. Now notice something profound beginning to occur. You no longer fear the unfolding of life. You no longer shrink from uncertainty. You no longer cling to old assumptions, because you have come to understand that this entire experience is not chaos. It is choreography, not randomness, but revelation, not confusion, but creation. Life is not happening outside of you. It is rising from within you. You are walking through a world shaped by God and sculpted by your consciousness. This is the union of the divine and human. This is the secret the mystics hid in symbols. This is the truth Christ lived, not as exception, but as example. And now, you are beginning to live it too. And now, as your awareness settles into this truth, that life is both the stage and the mirror of your consciousness, you begin to perceive something subtle yet extraordinary. The world outside you is not fixed. It is fluid, bending to the assumptions you hold within. It has always been this way. It will always be this way. This is the nature of the divine play. For God, the author, created laws of consciousness that are absolute, impartial, and exact. These laws do not judge you. They do not consider your past. They do not ask whether you feel worthy or ready. They respond only to one thing: your inner state. And your inner state is revealed through your assumptions, the truths you quietly accept, the identities you unconsciously inhabit, the feelings you return to again and again. Most people are unaware that they are assuming. They believe they are observing reality, when in truth they are observing their own unexamined inner script. They say this is just how life is, not realizing that life is reflecting who they have believed themselves to be. But you are awakening now. You are beginning to see that consciousness is not passive. Identity is not neutral. Feeling is not incidental. Your inner world is the creative engine of your outer world. When Naville said, "Assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact," he was revealing the mechanics of the play. Not theory, not philosophy, spiritual physics. Your assumption is the seed. Your world is the harvest. And just as the earth never alters the seed given to it, the universe never alters the assumption you give it. It brings forth not what you want, but what you accept as true. Now let this realization penetrate deeply. You do not manifest what you desire. You manifest what you believe you are. Identity precedes experience. Identity precedes opportunity. Identity precedes manifestation. This is not merely mystical, it is neurological. Every time you inhabit a feeling, you strengthen a neural pathway that shapes your behavior, your perception, your expectations, and ultimately, your results. Identity is destiny. This is why Christ continually spoke in the language of identity. I am the light. I am the way. I am the resurrection. The teaching was not that he alone could declare these truths, but that identity is the birthplace of miracles. I am the name of God revealed to Moses is not a phrase. It is a creative command. Whatever follows I am, you become. Whatever follows I am, you animate. Whatever follows I am, you experience, because the play rearranges itself to honor the identity you assume. Now breathe slowly. Let your shoulders drop. Let your inner vision sharpen. You are beginning to understand the true nature of this world. Life is not happening. Life is being projected. You are not inside a random narrative. You are inside a narrative shaped by your own consciousness. But here is the mercy. Every chapter can change. Every identity can be rewritten. Every pattern can be dissolved. Every limitation can be replaced with truth. And the doorway to this transformation is not action, not effort, not willpower, but faithful feeling. Faithful feeling is the emotional acceptance of the reality you choose to inhabit. Not someday, not later. Now, when you feel the wish fulfilled, you are standing in the next act of your life, before the stage crew has even moved the scenery. This is spiritual authority. This is divine authorship. This is the creative partnership between you and God. Now let the next truth rise gently within you. Every scene that unfolds in your life is designed to guide you inward toward deeper faith, clearer identity, and fuller awareness of your own creative power. This is why certain events repeat themselves, not because you are stuck, but because God is showing you the assumptions you have not yet replaced. This is why certain desires persist, not because you are deprived, but because those desires are the next chapter, waiting for your permission to unfold. This is why certain relationships stir emotion, not because they define you, but because they reflect the state you are inhabiting. Every experience is a message from the deeper layers of consciousness, an invitation to awaken, to shift, to assume the identity aligned with who God created you to be. Now feel this truth expanding. Faith is the act of rewriting your inner script to match the destiny God has placed in your heart. Faith is not passive. Faith is not blind. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is alignment. Faith is stepping into the version of yourself who already possesses the blessing. Faith is the decision to see the world through the eyes of the fulfilled desire. Faith is the courage to believe that what God implanted within you is already complete in the unseen. And once faith becomes your inner state, once you abide in the feeling of the end, the play must follow. Scenes rearrange, characters shift, paths open, timing aligns, new opportunities appear where old ones had closed. This is not optimism. This is divine law. Now let the next layer unfold, quiet but powerful, in this play. Nothing is final until you have accepted it as final. Not your past, not your failures, not your mistakes, not your losses, not your limitations. The moment you revoke your agreement with an old identity, the moment you withdraw your emotional attention from a past assumption, its power dissolves. Your consciousness releases it, and the play adjusts accordingly. No scene has permission to imprison you unless you give it permission. And you, now awakened, are reclaiming that permission and rewriting the script. And now, as your inner sight awakens to the truth that no scene is final unless you declare it so, a new strength begins to rise within you. It is not the strength of willpower, not the strength of worldly ambition, not the strength of striving or struggling. It is the strength of spiritual authorship, the calm authority of someone who knows they are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, the quiet confidence of one who recognizes that every circumstance is simply a scene, and every scene can be rewritten from within. You are beginning to feel something the world rarely teaches. Your inner state is the true source of your power. This power does not come from controlling others, or forcing outcomes, or manipulating events. It does not come from pushing, pulling, grinding, or grasping. It comes from alignment. The alignment between your imagination and God's imagination, between your assumption and God's promise, between your inner knowing and the divine story unfolding around you. This is the power Christ demonstrated when he spoke, "The Father and I are one, not two beings, one consciousness, one creative power, one script written through unity, not separation." When you align with the God within, the infinite intelligence moving through your imagination, you move through life with the same authority. The authority to call things that are not as though they already are. The authority to shift identity with a single assumption. the authority to choose the end and let the middle unfold in perfect order. This is not metaphor. This is divine law. And your awakening to this law is not accidental. It is a designed moment in your story. For the protagonist of every divine play comes to a point of realization, the moment when they stop believing they are the character struggling against the world and recognize they are the consciousness shaping the world. This is that moment for you. Now let your awareness settle into the next truth. You can never rise above the identity you hold within. But the moment you change your identity, your entire life begins to rise. Identity is not inertia. Identity is causation. Every habit, every reaction, every decision, every relationship, every opportunity, every limitation, they all emerge from the identity you inhabit. Change the state, and the story must follow. You cannot inhabit an identity of worthlessness and expect a life of abundance. You cannot inhabit an identity of fear and expect a life of freedom. You cannot inhabit an identity of insufficiency and expect a life overflowing with blessing. Identity is the soil. Life is the harvest. But here is the miracle. Identity is chosen, not inherited, not imposed. Chosen. You choose your identity through the assumptions you accept, the feelings you dwell in, the inner conversations you repeat, the states you return to daily. Identity is not fixed. Identity is fluid, and faith is the force that reshapes it. This is why Naville urged, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, because assumption is identity, and identity is destiny. When you assume a new inner state, you are choosing a new identity. When you choose a new identity, you are choosing a new life. It cannot be otherwise. Now breathe into this revelation. You were never meant to be confined by your past. Your past is not a prophecy. Your past is not a prison. Your past is not even a part of you once you stop agreeing with it. The moment you withdraw your attention from it, it ceases to define you, because the past is not carried into the present. It is recreated in the present by the identity you choose to hold. Your real past, the spiritual one, is the moment God imagined you. Everything else is a temporary role you played before you remembered who you are. And who are you? A fragment of God's imagination, expressing itself as a human life, a consciousness endowed with divine authority, a soul capable of shifting the entire play by changing the inner story. Now watch how this next truth begins to anchor itself. Every desire you hold is a scene God has already written. You feel it because it exists. You long for it because it belongs to you. You desire it because your future self is calling you forward. Desire is not temptation. Desire is direction. Desire is revelation. Desire is divine communication. God does not tease you with visions of what cannot be. He reveals to you the next act of the play. Your job is not to force it into being. Your job is to feel it into being. Feeling is the handshake between you and God. Feeling is the acceptance of the unseen. Feeling is the inner agreement that says, it is done. And once you feel the end, the universe begins to rearrange itself with absolute precision to deliver the scene you have entered internally. You do not need to know how. The playwright does. You do not need to micromanage the unfolding. The script will carry you. Your task is singular. Stay in the state of the fulfilled desire. Stay in the identity aligned with the promise. Stay in the feeling of completion. When you drift, return. When you doubt, realign. When you waver, breathe. Faith is not perfection. Faith is persistence. Persistent assumption reshapes the subconscious. Reshape, subconscious, reshapes the play. Reshape play, reshapes your life. Now feel this rising within you. The moment you take your attention away from the old script, its power dissolves. Fear dissolves. Lack dissolves. Limitation dissolves. The past dissolves, because the only power an assumption has is the power you give it through your attention. Withdraw attention from the old, and it vanishes like a scene going dark. When the spotlight shifts, your attention is the spotlight through which God illuminates your world. Where you place it determines what becomes real to you. Now you understand why Christ said, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. A single eye is unified consciousness, unified identity, unified assumption. When you fix your inner gaze on the end, the fulfilled desire, The entire play reorganizes itself to express that end. This is the law. This is the truth. This is the freedom you were always meant to know. And now, as the awareness of your inner authority grows steadier and clearer, you begin to feel the profound simplicity of divine creation. Life does not respond to effort, it responds to identity. Not who you claim to be with your words, not who you pretend to be in front of others, but who you feel yourself to be in the quiet moments. When the world is not looking, this feeling, this inner state, is what writes the scenes of your life with more accuracy than any action ever could. Because action is the reflection of identity, not its source. Action is the shadow cast by the inner state. Action is the echo of the assumption you hold. You are not transformed through effort. You are transformed through embodiment. And embodiment is nothing more than consistently inhabiting the feeling of your chosen identity. This is why Naville insisted that the secret to manifestation is not repetition, not ritual, but living in the end. To live in the end is to feel the wish fulfilled, as though it were already your truth, not later, not eventually. Now, feel now, become now, align now, because in God's play, the moment you feel the end, the script begins to reorganize itself, to deliver that end into your physical experience. This is not imagination as fantasy. This is imagination as divine communication. This is imagination as the mechanism through which God reveals the next chapter of your becoming. Your desire is not a dream you must chase. Your desire is a scene you must enter. And the doorway is feeling, not the feeling of longing, but the feeling of having. Longing says, it is not here yet. Having says, it is done. Longing keeps you outside the scene. Having places you in the center of it. And once you stand in the center of the scene inwardly, life must follow. Now breathe slowly, deeply. Something sacred is happening within your consciousness. You are shifting from spectator to participant, from character to creator, from one carried by the script to one who carries the script within them. This next truth will anchor your awakening. All the power you seek is contained in the present moment, not the past, not the future, now. Because God exists only in the eternal now. Creation happens only in the now. Identity is formed only in the now. When you assume a new identity in the present moment, you are not waiting for transformation. You are the transformation. Your consciousness shifts first, and reality follows with divine precision. This is the science of faith. This is the mathematics of manifestation. This is the inner technology by which God works through you. Your assumption is the cause. Your life is the effect. Now allow the next realization to unfold within you, quietly but powerfully. There is no such thing as coincidence in a world created by God. There is only alignment, only resonance, only reflection. Every person who enters your life enters by the logic of your inner state. Every opportunity that appears by the vibration you have assumed. Every obstacle you face is not there to block you, but to shift you into a deeper state of realization. Nothing is random. Everything is revelation. Even the delays, even the detours, even the chapters you wished you could skip, they were not punishments. They were wake-up calls. Scenes designed to push you inward toward the center of your being, where God whispers the truth. You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are not broken. You are mine, and I have given you the authority to shape your life through the power of your inner world. This truth changes everything, because once you understand that the external world cannot disobey your internal assumption, you stop fighting life and begin directing it. You stop begging for change and begin embodying change. You stop praying with fear and begin praying with certainty. You stop waiting for signs and become the sign. You become the evidence of the unseen reality you have accepted within. This is faith in its purest form. This is imagination as Christ intended it. This is manifestation as divine partnership. This is the life God designed you to live. Now feel the truth of this next revelation. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you strengthen the new script. You reinforce the identity aligned with your desire. You deepen the neural pathways that support your vision. You elevate your vibration to match the reality you choose. You signal to the universe, this is who I am now. Also, And the universe responds not through effort, but through orchestration. Conversations shift, paths open, ideas arise, people appear, resources emerge, synchronicities unfold, solutions reveal themselves with the elegance of divine timing. You do not force these events. You align with them. You feel your way into them. You assume them, and they materialize. Because the play is responsive. The play is alive. The play is designed to reflect the consciousness of the one experiencing it. Now listen carefully, for this next truth is the turning point for many. You do not need to know how the story unfolds. You only need to know the ending.